Okay, wagwaho ni wagit talod, on te aga ni wagahuanjot. Dulunkawane meet wagenyu. So what I just said in English is, greetings all my friends. My name is Ganya Tegil, which means snow scattered here and there. My English name is Becky Webster. I'm Wolf Clan, I'm Oneida, and I grew up near Duck Creek that runs right here through the Oneida Reservation. So welcome to our farmstead. Ungwakwa jitnuni ungwayaya toslu. It means our foods, where we plant things. Indigenous food being slow food, this is kind of the thing we're talking about. So if you're hungry, you should have thought about that 9 months ago. So this is the mush flour that we all just pounded. And then we're just going to put some in the water. And then these are some Navajo stir sticks that a friend of mine gave me from Navajo country. We're gonna have very sweet mush today. Gonna move it back on the fire. It's like a flatbread, cornbread.
It's a little sweet, but it's really good. I highly recommend it.
This is roasted immature squash, pepitas, candied corn, wild rice, cranberries from Wisconsin growers, and then fresh greens and a cranberry vinaigrette.
And what's this?
Oh, purple potatoes. Those are for the second course. These are the candied squash pieces that for the rest for the salad. This is dessert. It is a seed crust tart. There's a skunk bean puree, a squash puree, candied corn, cranberries from Wisconsin growers, and then a wild rice marshmallow on top. And we're going to melt that a little bit and then add a raspberry. This is ginseng from Wisconsin producers and cranberry, so it's cranberry ginseng tea. Hi Nipi, Hochon Krajada, Hahemani Winga Hingaide, Naga Maikade Rajada, Elena Terriga Hingaide. So hello everyone, I'm glad that you've enjoyed the meal so far. My name is Elena Terry. I'm the executive chef and founder of a nonprofit called Wild Berries, and we do community outreach and education through indigenous foods, and we do community building, and really our program uses food as a vessel for healing, for wellness, for really supporting each other, and focuses on the conversations that happen at the table and the camaraderie and the friendships and relationships that are built there. So our nonprofit services people who are overcoming alcohol and other drug abuse issues or emotional traumas. And we do really work on the aspect that food is medicine. But for us, it's the process. It's preparing this food. It's having these conversations. The work that is being done here in preserving our ancestors and bringing them back to our community. I mean, I feel like as a chef, my job is really the best. I'm blessed to be able to work with people that are doing. Like, this is an incredibly amazing space. I came and my feet were sore and I was tired, so I was like, I'm just gonna wear my moccasins, and it just felt good to feel the ground here. You know, and so when Travel Wisconsin came and said, you know, that we would be here, I was really excited. I brought, Wild Berries has a chef apprentice program, so we brought 2 of the chef apprentices. The first course was a wild salad. We used corn and squash that Becky grew here on the farm. The second course was the smoked turkey, the purple potatoes, and the zucchini. And the purple potatoes came from a farm in Madison. And then we smoked the turkey and had some fresh herbs. And then this final course is one of our favorites, and I really feel, and I'll say it forever, that squash is very underutilized and needs more advocates. So this is a version of our squash tart. There is actually a sweet bean puree on the bottom, and that was made from skunk beans that Becky grew here on the farm. We had squash, buttercup squash from the Menominee Nation University. They brought those down for us yesterday, freshly harvested. We have a sweet corn cake, which was also made from corn grown here on the farm. And then a cranberry sauce and a wild rice marshmallow on top that we made from some hand-harvested wild rice my friends bring down from northern Minnesota.
Wow.
So with every component, I want you to think about all of the care and the attention that went into that. Part of this holistic wellness that we're talking about and really making change not only in our community, but in the greater communities that we reside in. So thank you so much for letting us feed you and for sharing some time today. I think we'll be around if anybody wants to chat or have more conversations.
You guys may have heard 3 sheets to the wind a time or two. So it's certainly a play on 3 sheets to the wind. These styles, they will never die. They scream Wisconsin. They're in cheese curd batter. They're on your boat. They're in your cabin. They're on the ice in your ice fishing shanty. They're just always there. In other parts of the country, they're just not flavorful enough, or they're just not cool enough, or it's your grandpa's beer and you just don't want it. And Wisconsin is just not that way. You guys may or may not have heard like Midwest Coast. So it is a kind of a fun play on geography. You know, we're not coastal, obviously, but there's a lot of water. So again, kind of cool. So yeah, this is kind of the flagship, right, in terms of aesthetic and distribution. If you ask somebody about 3 sheets, we walk into an account, they say, well, what's your number 1? What should we put on tap? What screams 3 sheets? Fresh Coast is our lead. So that's kind of become our flagship, just sales-wise and just kind of presence and distribution-wise. Yeah, like I said, super approachable. Again, that's a great food beer. If you're having a burger or a brat, steak, something a bit meatier, or even something veggie-based, just a really cool beer. Yeah. Well, I mean, stylistically, it's an American-style pale ale, and the juicy descriptor kind of comes from juice. So there is citrus notes. You do get some grapefruit, you get some orange. There is a slight haze to it. That's probably a little colder than it might normally be, so you might get a little bit of chill haze. In terms of like an actual sustained haze on our end from filtration, it's normally a clear beer, but the juicy is just not that juicy. And one of the cool things about Fresh Coast too is there's really not a ton of juicy pale ales, right? At least not a ton of Wisconsin locals. So it's kind of nice to have our flagship stylistically be a little more unique. Wisconsin loves anything deep fried with a bucket of ranch. It doesn't matter what it is. So as long as you have ample ranch and it's deep fried, you're set. We have a great team. It sounds super cheesy, small but mighty. So we do a lot with very little. Super talented team just from top to bottom, from recipe formulation to barrel aging to building barrel stave furniture to merch design and everything in between. So we do a lot with very little. And again, super talented team, a lot of humility. So up next, we've got Chaos Pet. This is, let's see, we launched this March of last year. 6.5% super hazy IPA, a lot of lemony hops. So this beer kind of took off and really kind of gained this massive following, and people really, really liked it. So 6.5%, so a little higher than Fresh Coast, but not necessarily taking over the edge. Again, super easy drinking, great food beer. So this is the 2022 iteration of the Wolf.
Hands down, it's your what?
This is our baby. And this is exactly what it's supposed to be. You figured it out. This is the wolf in sheep's clothing. This beer is kind of taken on a life of its own. People love it. We sold 1,000 cases of this in 20 minutes last year through our statewide distributor. And this beer has kind of become our thing. So this was the first beer that we did that was on another level of complexity that really kind of showcased just how good our team really is. So, drink it with caution. Drink it with caution. 19.8% barrel aged stuff.
I appreciate Spring Company. Out of Sheboygan, Wisconsin.
We're gonna
to serve you a lot of food, so don't go crazy. We're gonna do some fish fry, that's pretty classic. I'm gonna do some German and Polish sides for you. So we're gonna bring you out some fried fish and some broiled fish, you can have that. We're gonna bring you out some German side dishes that you can taste. And then we've got a dessert, a very German dessert to serve to you. So you've got a little harvest salad here. Kind of a spicy mix of greens, radish greens, chicory. We've got some baby Brussels in there that we roasted. We've got some Easter egg radishes that we've roasted. We've got some sunflower seeds and some buckwheat groat that's been fried. We also have a relish tray here that is very custom in Wisconsin. You go into a supper club, there's almost always a relish tray on the table. Most of the kids that grew up in Wisconsin, when they went to their grandparents' house on a Sunday, they'd get things like pierogies and cabbage and noodles, galupkis, which is the stuffed cabbage that we have here. This is stuffed with brown rice and bison and pork, rolled in cabbage and just braised in tomatoes. The red cabbage was just stewed with a little bit of vinegar and then some sweet and tart apples that were in season right now. The noodles and cabbage was a little 8-finger cavatappi noodle that we just fried up with cabbage and onions. You've got a little bowl of hash brown potatoes that's fried in butter, and then typically that's served with applesauce and sour cream, and people just like that sweet and sour flavor to it, the richness of it all. The fish that you ate, that's pretty traditional. You've got a couple of fish that are caught in this state all the time: perch, yellow perch, lake perch, and walleye. Those are what the anglers are really after in these lakes. Fish fry really came about during Prohibition. When Prohibition came, all the taverns didn't know what to do. They still had to be in business, so they started taking the beer, putting it into a batter, and because of the way the law was written, that was legal then. And they started breading things like perch, bluegill, walleye, things that were being caught on the Great Lakes. What you had for dessert is called a roasted walnut tort. On top was a little chantilly cream, which is just enriched whipped cream. We fold in a little bit of sour cream to definitely fortify the Eastern European factor. We're from Madison. We're a food fight restaurant group out of Craftsman, Table and Top, which is in Middleton, which is just west of Madison. We do a lot of pub fare. We do a lot of fish fries. Our company in general runs 18 restaurants. We use a lot of local product. We're just very, very Wisconsin proud, and moreover, very, very Madison proud.
My family has been here for nearly 100 years. I'm 4th generation. My daughter and my sons are 5th generation. I have 6 grandchildren. 2 of them are especially interested in the science and biology of growing cranberries. So I'm super excited and passionate about multi-generation farming and just ag tourism, which this is a 1938 warehouse. And my family harvested and packaged fresh here from 1938 to 1977. So in 2019, my daughter and one of my daughter-in-laws, we started an Instagram page just to share about cranberries, family farming, kind of shared a little about some recipes. And from that, we had such a positive response that in 2021, so just last year, we came in here and we just did the store and the patio with the idea of doing a few weekends with music and food trucks and just share about cranberries. And it was such an amazing turnout that we expanded our area because people wanted space to come and do small events. And so hence, Rooted Red was kind of formed. It's Wisconsin-based, it's cranberry-based. It's just kind of how our family's rooted here. I just wanted to show you, this is the map of where we are. We're 80 acres of cranberry vines. We're about 160 acre property. We're kind of on the small to medium size, but we're on the Wisconsin River. This is the building we're here, right here. People think often that cranberries grow in water, but they actually grow in a sandy soil. We use water for harvest. We need water for irrigation. We need water for frost protection. Cranberry vines are perennials. They'll produce for up to 100 years. Wisconsin, we call our cranberry farms marshes, and East Coast are bogs, and they're the same thing, it's just a terminology. This is probably our 6th season with a harrow. It's basically a tractor with a very wide track that helps disperse the weight as we're driving on the vines. And it has a series of metal teeth that kind of break and comb through the vines, and it knocks the berries off. So we just bring enough water for the berries to kind of suspend. Cranberries have a hollow chamber inside, so once they're knocked off that vine, they just float to the top. So as you can see, like this bed here, they're floating and ready to get picked up.
Walk out to the middle. See if you drop in.
So as you know, there's only 5 states to grow cranberries. Well, I should say 1 in Minnesota. We might have to add Minnesota, but Washington, Oregon State, Wisconsin, Massachusetts, and New Jersey.
So what are you doing? You do this to scoop all the cranberries in? Yeah.
Bring them in closer so we can get them.
It'll be easier. Yeah, get them out. Oh, you got the net, huh? What does this thing do? Pull them out of the water? You gonna do that now?
Yeah, since we get set up. Yeah.
Okay.
We just took data on very small plots, on things like when they're ready to harvest, color, shape of the berry, thickness of the skin, drought resistant. Those are all characteristics we're watching. And we then in turn found a couple varieties we really liked, and we were able to get our propagation license, and then in turn we sell vines as part of what we do. This particular vine, we named it Big Red because of the shape of the berry. It really slices well. The shape of the cranberry slices beautifully because I guess shape matters when you slice. And so our different Mariani, Ocean Spray, we're excited about. I think it's also the thickness of the skin. They like the way it's flowing.
So the machine separates the cranberries and go this way, and the other stuff goes that way. Is that what it does?
Yep.
Very cool.
So this is, you can kind of see, I wish I
They're
could
pulling the product apart.
Here's kind of an example. So as the cranberry vine grows, this is a really sharp, it'll run and run and run. They produce these uprights. On this upright, you can see has the 4 berries on there. So that's how they grow. One of the things we do after harvest, a very important part of what we do is we put in our winter flood. And December, January, the temperatures are below 0. We will start to flood up just like we're harvesting, and it will freeze, and we'll do another layer of water on top, and we'll continue that until we have a nice block of ice. We drain the water below so the ice actually sits on top of the vine. It doesn't encase the vine. We just had so much fun, creating a space for people to come with their family and sharing a lot about Wisconsin cranberries.
Here comes the harvesters.
Rooted Red, and it's Wisconsin based, it's cranberry based. It's just kind of how our family's rooted here.
So this is apparently a kringle, and if you don't know what a kringle is, it's a Danish pastry, and it's called kringle because it originates from the old Scandinavian word for a nut. It became a big thing in the state of Wisconsin. Traditionally, it used to be filled with all kinds of fruit, but in Wisconsin in particular, it's filled with Wisconsin cranberries, and it's apparently the thing to bake and eat. So let's see how it tastes. lots of cranberries in here. It smells sweet. Mmm. Mmm. Yummy. And colorful.